Welcome back to the 31305 podcast, episode number 44. It's been a long week. It's only Tuesday, and it feels like it's gonna keep dragging on. I don't know, maybe it's because the Suns got steamrolled, but we got some basketball to break down this week. A little bit of the football draft, a little bit of baseball. I actually have some new baseball news that just came out about an hour ago to go over, but I know you probably had been having a ton of fun packing up, getting ready to move. What's been going on in the life of Alex?
Uh, well, setup's gonna be different next week, so I won't have my desk. I'll be on my computer with my TV, so that'll be interesting to see. Um, but no, graduation next week, so very excited. Gonna move to the new house soon, or new apartment, should I say? Having you set up there for better podcasts, and yeah, excited to break down your correct prediction of the Suns. You said they were gonna sweep, but get swept is what you must have
We'll get to
meant.
that. Let's at least start in the East. We'll start with the 1-8 series. The Heat, they won a game. I don't know. Did we talk about that last week? Or did they win
Nope.
before?
Game one happened. Game two hadn't
Yeah.
happened yet.
Yeah, the Heat steal a game in Boston and then subsequently lose their two home games. They're down 3-1. Hey, I'll give them credit for winning a game. I said if they win a game, you're happy. So they did in fact win a game. But Boston just easily the best team in the league right now. They I don't even like Porzingis has a calf injury, but I don't even think it matters. I think they breeze by their next one. And
hmm
what you think the Knicks are? Yeah, no, Boston is taking this so easy.
Yeah, I mean, the Heat can't score. Like, the Heat had 69 points through three quarters yesterday. Like, if they were a competent offense, if they had Rozier and Butler healthy, maybe you could see a path, but especially with the Porzingis injury happening non-contact, Boston's been good. I mean, they haven't been playing amazing, but they've just been better than the Heat in every aspect, except for game two when the Heat made the most franchise threes in the playoff game. Like you said, I think they're going to get through the Magic or Cavs pretty easily because that series looks like it might go 6 or 7. And I don't think they're scared of the Pacers or the Knicks. So, yeah, I think this is the. That's why we said 2 weeks ago. This is Boston's East to lose. Like, if they make the finals this year, they probably won't ever make it. So, shout out
Yeah,
to Boston because they've been great.
there's really no team in the East that can really, I don't even think, scare them. I mean, if you look at who's left, the Magic Cavs, who they'll get the winner of that next, that just seems like a mid off. Maybe that team, either one probably wins one, maybe two if it's the Cavs. I think the Cavs have the best chance against them. I mean, Pacers, Bucks. I mean, if the Bucks were healthy, that's a fun series. But we just saw Dame was out, Giannis is out, and they can't do anything. They're down 3-1. I think that series could end up ending tonight.
Yep.
Um, the Sixers and the Knicks. I mean, the Knicks have looked. I'll give it to them. They've looked really good, and yet again, the Sixers have disappointed. But Boston just, yeah, it's Boston's East to lose. They're the favorites for a reason, and it's shaping up to be a Nuggets versus Celtics finals. But are you giving Miami any sort of chance at coming back?
Yeah, I will. I mean, if they need to win the next game, that's the most important one, right? It's tomorrow, game five, Wednesday in Boston without Porzingis. Can they get Horford in foul trouble, maybe, and then play through Bam with a big? Can they finally figure out to do better on offense? Because the Heat have been outscored, I think, by 104 points in the second quarter so far. Like, that's the quarter that Boston's just destroyed them in. So if they can just keep it close at halftime, they'll have a shot. But it's going to be tough. Like I said, even without Porzingis, Boston has better talent. I'll still hold out, but I'm not expecting much.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that's really all you can hope for if you're a Heat fan. If you're able to get a game six at home, that environment's going to be pretty good. I think that's more than you could have asked for going into the series, is at least having a chance in game six. But when you've got guys like Derek White shooting 8 for 15, dropping 38 points, and
Dude.
there's really, you can't stop him. If it's not Tatum, it's Porzingis. If it's not him, it's Holiday. If it's not him, it's Jaylen Brown. If it's not him, it's Derek White. It just seems like any night one of these guys can drop 30, 40 points, and if multiple guys are doing it, there's no way anybody is stopping this team. But I'm not going to give them a chance. I'm sorry. I think I've made this clear. I'm not big on Miami. I think if they do win Game 5, Game 6 is interesting. It's at home, which Miami actually really hasn't been that great of a home team. They're 22-19 at home, and Boston 27-14 on the road is extremely good. So we'll see. I mean, I think Game 6. If I had told you that this game goes 6, you're happy. Or
Yeah.
this round goes 6, you're happy.
But also, fuck Derek White. I was yelling at my TV so much. This man was
That
acting like he
man,
was Steph or Klay Thompson, bro. He won't miss. Like, it's always the weird players like TJ McConnell and the Pacers or Derek White or Alex Caruso and the Lakers when we played them in the finals 4 years ago. Like, it's always the weird players that do great against Miami.
yeah. So
But
that's the 1-8 series. The next,
yeah.
I think, best series that we thought was going to happen was the 7-2 series with the Knicks and Philly, and that series has actually turned into just disgustingness. It's New York's up 3-1 in the series. They're up 10 right now in the game. At what point does Joel Embiid he he's got to be gone soon at some point, right? Like they've tried building around him at this point. Like Kyrie's Maxey, a good up and coming player, but there's really nothing else on this team. Like Tobias Harris is probably getting moved in the offseason. Kyle Lowry's what, 37, 38 years old at this point. He's
Yep.
still he's out of his prime. And I mean you're starting Kelly Oubre Jr. and this Philly team is Embiid or bust. And like I'm curious at what point does Embiid not want to be there anymore? Because it's year after year that they just throw up duds in the playoffs.
It's also, from Philly's perspective, you have Maxey, who's probably at the path of being a top 20 player in the NBA on the way there, with time. Embiid's 30 this year, turns 31. Injury history, well known. Can't really stay healthy enough for a sustained playoff run. At what point do you just say, you know what, we've done our best. Let's a have someone offer a crazy trade package for him in the West and trade him out there, whether it's New Orleans, whether it's the Thunder, whether it's the Jazz, someone like that has so many picks and pick swaps, and just seal it. Like rebuild, not rebuild or retool, because Embiid, he's a MVP, right? Very, very good player, probably top 10, top 5 even when healthy, but he just can't be. And he's trying to carry this team on one leg, can't do it, understandably. But I mean, the Knicks have been better. The Knicks made Philly game 4 be like MSG 2.0. They had, I think, 35% of the tickets went to Knicks fans, and it showed. They were really loud during and after the game. I mean, the Knicks might have a better shot than we think, even without Julius Randle. But Josh
Yeah,
Hart and
which
Brunson
is
have been great.
that's crazy. Just looking at their starting rotation of OG Anunoby, Isaiah Hartenstein, Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, and Dante DiVincenzo. On paper, that team's a playing team. Like
Yeah,
we're not,
but
let's not beat
Brunson's
around the
carried
bush.
them.
Yeah, he has. He's had a really good playoff. But like that roster, that is a fringe play-in team. That team in the West probably doesn't even make a play-in. And the fact that the Sixers have a really good shot. This game's 8 seconds left of the second. They're down 6. They're about to lose to a team that's a fringe play-in team.
Yeah.
So I don't know where Philly goes from here. We'll give New York their flowers. If they win the series 4-1, then so be it. It's just Philly, man. Like we keep saying it week after week. Is like this is the team. This is like one of the worst teams in the playoffs we've ever seen, and they just continue to prove everybody right. They just can't do anything in the playoffs. I think it's time for. I know they've already like blown up and tanked and did all of that, but that hasn't gotten you anywhere.
If they were healthy, like we've said with the Celtics, this was their path. Going through the Knicks, who don't have a great center on their roster, which OG Anunoby and Hartenstein have still been able to lock them down, right? You would play the Pacers next round, which that would be a fun matchup. Miles Turner and Bede, Halliburton against Maxey, right? I don't even know if they'd get through that. But yeah, I mean, it's very interesting to see what Philly's going to do in the offseason. But for the Knicks, they're going to get the Bucks Pacers. That's going to be a great series. Likely the Pacers, Tyrese Halliburton against Jalen Brunson. You got Pascal Siakam, who's been amazing in these playoffs, which we'll talk about next with the Pacers. But I think if, again, like we said, this is the Celtics East to lose, but it'll be fun to see which one of these younger and upcoming teams almost, it seems, makes it to the next round. And we'll make it to the Eastern Conference Finals.
I just don't think
Pace,
anyone stands a chance against Boston, to be honest.
yeah.
Everyone's just fighting for second.
You never know. I mean, Atlanta, right? They made it to the Eastern Conference Finals 3 years ago against the Bucks. Made it a 5-game series, maybe six with Trae Young. So you never know. That could happen, one of those scenarios. But speaking of the Bucks, they are out without Dame or Giannis tonight. They're playing against the Pacers. Even though it's in Milwaukee, I fully expect Indiana to win. That game four was crazy. Chris Middleton going off. I think he had 40 something points in the game. They forced overtime. Tyrese Halliburton, the little floater, which he got fouled on in overtime to seal the game. The Pacers have been better. It's been a close divisional series, like you expect these games to be. But again, you don't control who you play. You control about playing them and beating them. So the Pacers are playing the Bucks. Giannis is hurt. It's not like they asked for him to be hurt. It's not like they asked for Dame to get hurt. It just happens, right? So they're taking advantage of the situation. We'll move on.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks because the Bucks are definitely better than being down 3-1. I mean, Patrick Beverly, Brooke Lopez, Chris Middleton, Bobby Portis, and Malik Beasley, I think is
Yep,
their
that's the
starting
starting five.
five right now. Again, like if you look at that, that's not even a playoff team. I don't even
That's
think
not
that's
even a play-in team.
that's not
That's
even a
that's
play-in
maybe
team.
a play-in team.
So again, it's hard to judge. They're missing their quite literal MVP and top 20 player in the league. Both
Your
of them out.
MVP.
My MVP. So I don't know. I think the Bucks just chalk this one up to injuries and run it back next year. I think they'll be fine. I don't
Yeah.
foresee any issues with the Bucks running this one back. I'll still pick Dame to win MVP next year. I think he could do it. But yeah, I do feel bad, man. Dame just, he was so loyal in Portland. He finally gets a chance on a good team that has pedigree, that's been there before, and they're going to bow out in the first round because their best player is hurt. So I think Dame he cannot catch a break. I, I don't
Blame
know.
Joe Cronin. I'm telling you, if he was in Miami, he'd be moving on to the next round. I'm telling you. If Joe Cronin, the Portland GM, had traded him to Miami, I guarantee you they're moving on to the next round because they wouldn't be the 8 seed playing Boston. They'd be better.
No, but we do have to talk about the Pacers, who are, I don't know if I'd say the surprise team of the year, but certainly a good team that we didn't think was going to be this good. Tyrese Halliburton. The Kings are going to be kicking themselves forever for trading Tyrese Halliburton. I still don't really get that trade at all. But bringing in Spicy P, Pascal Siakam really turned
Great
this
move.
season. It
Great
was a
move.
great move. Great move for him. I mean, he's an all-star caliber player. I think he was probably not talked about enough because he played in Toronto, which not a huge market out there for basketball. I think the Pacers, this isn't going to be their year. I don't think anyone's going to be Boston, but I think this is a team next year if they run it back, get another year of Halliburton. Siakam's not too old yet. He's probably late 20s.
I think 29. Yeah, Pascal
Yeah.
Siakam.
So I mean, you still have guys on your bench like Obi Toppin.
Yeah,
I
he
think this
just
could be
turned
a team.
30.
Yeah, I think this could still be a team that runs it back next year, and that's a top 3 team in the East. Like this year,
Yeah.
surprising they did this well, but when you look at the talent that they have on that team, I mean, Tyrese Halliburton next year is going to be an MVP candidate.
Yeah, and I picked Indy to win the series because I knew without Giannis they would struggle. I mean, without Dame
Wow,
adds the punch, but
you couldn't see that coming, but
yeah, yeah. There is unfortunately one other matchup in the East, which we will still
there is.
neglect. Cavs and Magic play tonight, I think.
They
I
do,
think.
they do.
Okay, Orlando tied this series 2-2, going back to Cleveland. The Magic haven't allowed more than 100 points in any game this series. They've actually played really good defense. The Magic have been pretty good. They just couldn't score at all in game ones and two. Like we said, it'd be very surprising if either of these teams beat Boston, but you never know.
Guess
It's
what?
playoffs.
Guess what channel? Guess what channel this game's on?
Um, I'm gonna go with VHS or the History
Uh,
Channel.
Honestly, I think that might be more accessible than NBA TV. I think this is the third or fourth time this series has been on
Yep.
NBA TV, which
Yeah,
sucks. I mean, like you've got the Magic who have had a great year with their young talent, and but they're just kind of like the Pacers. They're not there yet. But being a Magic fan, seeing your team make the playoffs, having all this young talent with Franz Wagner and Paolo Banchero, and not even be able to watch it if you don't have NBA TV is wild. But
yeah. Well, I think the
that's
local channels are still covering it. Like Bally Sports
yeah,
is still covering the Heat games.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're, like me, if I was a Magic fan and I'm out here and I don't have NBA TV, like I'm cooked.
Yeah, you're screwed. Yeah,
But
yeah.
this has probably been what sneaky one of the best series so
It's
far.
probably going to go seven because all the West
Yeah,
series are pretty much done except for Clips Mavs.
yeah. This and the Maverick series are definitely the most competitive out of them so far. I mean, we're gonna get a lot of, I think, 4-0s and 4-1s. So outside of
Yeah,
out of those two series, so maybe they
yeah,
should start putting that on national TV a little bit more.
yeah. We get our first second round series already on Saturday, which is crazy to think about.
Yeah.
But the Nuggets are playing the Wolves on Saturday. I think that's the first matchup because the Thunder are waiting for whoever wins Clips Mavs.
Are you giving either the Magic or Cavs a chance at taking it to 7 with Boston?
Oh no, five or six. Six being generous. Yeah, especially if
Okay.
Porzingis comes back in the second half of that series. Yeah,
Yeah.
but we'll get to those predictions once the actual first round series conclude. Speaking of which, we did have several conclude in the West because, like we said, the teams out West are just higher quality, especially OKC over the Pelicans. You were 100% right after game one about being their slip up, and they just cruised game two and three. Game four was a little close. Pelicans made it a game, but the Thunder just, even though they're so young, they proved they're the one seed, and now they get to rest and just watch these two veteran teams in the Clips and Mavs duel it out, and then just have home court advantage for that playoff series. So, I mean, the Thunder right now, if you're a Thunder fan, you got to feel pretty confident about making it to the Western Conference Finals, right? The way your team performed.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, Denver OKC is going to be like a series to watch. Like that is going to be cinema.
No, no,
Denver versus
OKC
no, no,
Dallas
no,
or
no.
OKC.
I think they get past. I'm already looking
Oh,
for
I
the
see what you're
Western
saying. In the
Conference
next round.
Finals.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Western Conference Finals of OKC versus Denver because that is going to feed families. OKC is they're just too good. I mean, Jalen Williams with 24 in game four, Shea with 24, 10 rebounds. Chet had 14. Their whole starting lineup, I mean, is 10 points plus. And I mean, they don't get a ton of bench production, but I don't think they really need it when if your starting lineup can get 85, 90 points a game, like you don't need a bench. So these guys aren't extremely deep, but they find ways to win. I mean, Chet is if Victor Wembanyama wasn't around, we would be talking about him as being the next,
Way more.
Victor
Way more.
Wembanyama. Yeah. So I think Chet is definitely one of those underrated superstars in the making. I mean, he didn't have a great game last night, but OKC they had that scare in game one and then they just ran away with the series. The Pelicans are in a weird spot too. There's been some rumors about trading Brandon Ingram. I don't know. I'd like to see them run it back because they did have, you know, they've got Zion, they've got Bi. It's the West where next year they're maybe no LeBron, maybe they don't have to play in a playing game. If I don't know,
It's
they can run
tough.
it
The
back.
West is
Yeah,
good. The West is good.
yeah,
But I think honestly, their best move is to trade Bi. Not that I don't like him as a player. I think he's amazing, but I think fit wise with Zion, it's always going to be weird because they play a pretty similar position. That 3-4 role. I think if they can get a good either guard instead, like CJ McCollum's serviceable, but he's 32. If they
yeah,
can get like a good young guard instead for Bi and a couple first rounders, I would love it. It's a crazy idea. I would love for them to go get Trey Young.
yeah.
I think
That's certainly a move.
I think Bi and maybe a first rounder with a first round swap for Trey Young, like it allows Atlanta to put DeJounte Murray at the one. It gives them Brandon Ingram a great score with more defense. And for the Pelicans, imagine Trey Young lobs to Zion and the spacing you get with them two. Like, Zion in the post and Trey Young out deep. But
Yeah, yeah.
we'll
I
get
don't
into the
hate that.
Pelicans. Yeah, we'll get into the Pelicans offseason plans later. um, the next series, which was closer than it seems, and I know the national media is now for saying that, oh my gosh, the Nuggets destroyed the Lakers. Darvin Ham needs to get fired. LeBron choked, but the Lakers led more minutes than the Nuggets did this entire series. Every halftime, the Lakers had a lead. It was just in the third and fourth quarter he got out coached. Which I mean, Mike Malone, right, is his
Yeah,
name? Yeah, Mike Malone's a great coach. He went to the finals last year, right? Obviously won it. They're a great team. and that they've been in the playoffs before. They even said I think they have 1,000 games of experience between them in the playoffs, between all their players. So Nuggets team is good. It's not that the Lakers were bad, but they just couldn't close it out when it wanted. So the Nuggets win in 5 on another Jamal Murray game winner, by the way. He hit 2 in back-to-back
Yeah,
games.
this was his legacy series.
Yeah, they're saying Jamal Murray is a big moment merchant. He doesn't.
Yeah,
They said
Bubble
in the
Murray.
game. He's great in Game 5 of the playoffs, but let me see him on a Saturday night on NBA TV against the Hawks.
Yeah, I mean, the Lakers were no, we didn't really give the Lakers a shot in the series. They won a game. If you're a Lakers fan, you probably also expected them to not win this series, but maybe make it a little more competitive than it was. But yeah, just getting out coached in the second half is the downfall. You've got Michael Porter Jr., Jokic, and Jamal Murray combining for almost 100 points every night. It seems like LeBron got asked, "Is this the last game you're going to play as a Laker?" And he didn't answer the question. Obviously, kind of a shit question to ask after he loses it, but still,
Immediately after, give him a day
immediate.
at least.
Yeah, immediately after in the press conference, asked if that's the last game as a Laker you played. He didn't answer it. There was a report that they're open to a 3-year extension, a max extension. I think it's like 160 million over 3 years. Also said that they would be interested in drafting Bronny James to keep LeBron in LA. So I feel like this is the ceiling for this team. LeBron, I mean, yeah, he dropped 30 points and 9 rebounds, 11 assists, and you still lost the series. Anthony Davis had a really good first couple of games, but there's D'Lo's on his way out. There's no way they keep D'Lo. He was a disappointment over the series, but he shot 2 for 10 last night in an elimination game from 3. So that's you can't really have that. But LA just seems like they're also in a weird spot. They kind of feel like they're in the same spot as the Suns. I know they probably have it a little bit more to move around with than the Suns
Yeah,
do.
they do.
We'll talk about that, but it's just this feels like the ceiling for this team is a first round exit, maybe make it competitive and maybe win the series. But this isn't the LeBron of 5-10 years ago where any given year he can go to the finals. It just seems like he might be tapped out. And he's still playing really well. This team is just shit.
The dude's going to be 40 this year. Like you can't,
Yeah.
like if you're the Lakers, you can't, you take for granted that you have the king on your roster, but you can't expect him to just carry you and will you like he's done in the past. He's been playing for 21 seasons already. Like the Lakers are in a mode to where they're good enough if everything falls their way to make it to the finals, which almost happened last year, right? They made it to Western Conference Finals and lost to Denver. But their floor and their average are more similar to this first round, maybe second round exit. They're not bad enough to tank, but they're not like it takes so much good for them to win it all, right?
Yeah.
Like when they won it in the bubble, they had a lot of things go well. Dwight Howard played great. KCP, right? They had a really good shot in the bubble and they won it and they beat the Heat. But also, AD was the healthiest he'd ever been. It's like it's going to take a lot. They can make some moves, but they should honestly just be planning for a future around Anthony Davis. LeBron can be a free agent after this season. I think signing him to a 3-year max deal is a mistake. I think just pick up his player option or let him pick up his player option and then see what you do for then. If he's 40, like why would you like again he's LeBron, right? But like 41 years old, I would rather they spend that money on 2 younger players for 20 million each, right?
Yeah.
No offense to LeBron, he's amazing, but you can't rely on a dude that's 40 years old, no matter if he's as bionic and crazy as LeBron is, which he is.
If he picks up, do we think he gets traded next year? If they pick it up, he plays well, and they're around that bottom of the West. Do we think LeBron gets traded?
I think he would have to ask for a trade. I don't think the Lakers would trade him. I think
no.
he has to be like, I don't want to be on this team. I'm going to retire. Like, especially if he tells them we're not good enough to make it, and I'm going to retire at the end of this season. Can you send me to a contender like Cleveland? But think like, who do they get traded to? Like, I can't imagine
Miami.
LeBron. I can't imagine LeBron going anywhere but Miami, or maybe Cleveland, or wherever Bronny gets signed to, or gets drafted. Because Bronny's going to be a late first round pick, early second. He's not good enough to be a lottery pick. And there's no way he's joining the Pistons. No offense. If the Pistons sign Bronny, he's not going to Detroit. But yeah, it's tough. Again, LeBron's got time to figure it out. He's done enough. Like he doesn't need to do anything more in this game, but it's gonna be weird. The Lakers should just plan to build around AD, who's 30, and go from there. You do have your hometown team, which I'm sure you want to talk about next. I'll start. So the Suns did have a 4-0 series, but unfortunately for Taylor, it was not the way he wanted it. It was the Minnesota Timberwolves showing up and shocking. Not that they won necessarily, because, I mean, you thought it was going to be 4-0. I did agree the Suns were going to win. So just them winning was a shock, but how easily they won. Minnesota, after losing all the season series against the Suns, they looked like the better team, better fight, more heart, more energy. They looked like when the chips were down, they fought back. For Phoenix, as soon as things went bad, they just laid flat and just took it. And I'm sure you agree because I know you watched all the games, but this is a tough way for Phoenix to go out in the first round.
I'm about to rant so fucking hard right now. Oh my god. I have to like compose myself before I start here. But it was the most uninspired basketball I've ever seen from someone with pedigree as Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, and Kevin Durant have. The fact that it's me ball when they play. There is no we in that team. It's very Kevin Durant taking his typical 180 step back mid range shot. Bradley Beal in the last game of the series just 5 points fouls out, and Devin Booker. I mean, had a great game four. I think he had
Mm-hmm.
like 40 something points, but
It didn't
again, there's
matter.
nothing. It didn't matter at all. This team was built as like a win now. We have no assets. We have one first round pick in the next 6 years, and it's this year. And they're not even going to be in the lottery. It's going to be in the 20s. I don't know what the exact pick is, but it's like they're not even. It's not even going to be a great pick. This team has nowhere to go. They have no money. Bradley Beal has a no trade clause. Devin Booker. I mean, they could dangle Devin Booker and Kevin Durant maybe and try to get some of those recoup some of those picks and talent, but this team just plays no defense at all. It's very like you said, once they were down and once they hit like a 10-point game, they just gave up completely. There was no urgency at all. The turnovers were atrocious. Eric Gordon is actually terrible at the game of basketball. There's nobody else there. Yusuf Nurkic was a non-factor the entire series, and for a for a team like Minnesota who has Rudy Gobert and Karl Anthony Towns, you need your center to be able to step up and do something. And Yusuf Nurkic did nothing. Anthony Edwards is on his way to superstardom in the NBA. Though I will give him that. That man is incredible. I I, I want to root for him, but like he did just absolutely dismantle the Suns. But Devin Booker, 49 points by the way in
and it
game four.
and it didn't even matter because it wasn't even
Didn't
that close of a game. Like
no.
as soon as the fourth quarter happened, you could just tell Timberwolves wanted it more. They couldn't deal with also the size. Like Kevin Durant having to play the four doesn't work. Bradley Beal and Devin Booker being your backcourt doesn't work because they don't play enough defense. But you can't put Book at the three because then you're giving up size. Like
Yeah.
Beal's not a point guard. Beal's a shooting guard. So they have to put Beal at the two, and they have to put Booker at the three, which means they have to put Durant at the four. And they don't work the best in those situations. Booker the best as a two, Durant's best as a three, and Beal's best as the two. So unless you bring Bradley Beal off the bench next season,
Which needs to happen, I think.
which you're paying him way too much money though to have him be your sixth
Yeah.
man, but it has to happen for team success. But then who do you play at the four if you have Nurkic as the five? Like you said, they're in a tough spot. They got to sign and find a diamond in the rough that the Heat have, honestly, in the undrafted market and find someone who can ball out for you. But they're going to need to trade someone, honestly.
But
If you're
that's the.
Phoenix, if you're
I was gonna
Phoenix,
say
you
like
have,
that's the thing is
yeah.
what are you getting for Kevin Durant at this point? I think this series actually hurt his stock a lot because he just didn't look motivated to play at all. There wasn't no defense played. At best, you're getting maybe two first round picks for Kevin Durant back, and that's best case scenario from a team that overpays. I mean, you dangle Devin Booker, but I think if you trade Devin Booker, the franchise is going to hate you forever. The fans are just,
Yeah, you can't
Devin
trade
Booker
D
is
Book.
their Devin Booker is their franchise guy that's taken them to the finals and given them all the success in the past. So I mean, I think Kevin Durant would be the one that you dangle out there, but it is Kevin Durant. Everyone's going to be lining up to get him. There's no doubt about that. But his value is not what it was 3 or 4 years ago.
And he's old. He's like 36
Yeah,
this year. And I mean, the one player you'd love to trade is Bradley Beal, but you just gave up your entire farm system for him, which I mean, wasn't the best move, honestly, when it happens.
no,
And the owner's a big win now guy, but he made the wrong move. He should have gone after someone else for Bradley Beal to play the position. I know
yeah,
Bradley Beal wanted out. Doesn't mean you had to give up 4 years of pick swaps that they did. So
no.
it's going to be a very
And we
interesting offseason.
we see these win now moves turn out well. This is just the other side of the coin of, hey, we just gave up everything to win the finals. We didn't even make a first round. We're now stuck with this team. So I think they run it back. I'll give him one more year. I think Frank Vogel needs to be fired. I pray to God that Frank Vogel gets fired. I'll give this team one more year. They need to bring in a point guard. He doesn't have to be a superstar. They just need to bring someone that can facilitate the offense. So it's not just Devin Booker one-on-one, Kevin Durant one-on-one, or Bradley Beal taking some bullshit three that he's going to miss. They need someone to actually facilitate an offense. And this series is not at all how the regular season went either. Like we had said, the Suns had dominated the regular season. They were never within single digits in any second half. And then you look at the playoff series, I mean, 120 to 95, 105 to 93, 126 to 109, and 122 to 116. There was zero defense played by the Suns in the series, but they also lost every game by double digits outside of game four.
Yeah.
So whatever they were doing in the regular season against Minnesota, obviously they didn't do in the playoffs, or Minnesota adapted to whatever, but this is not at all how anyone thought that series was going to go.
And we've seen, if you look at the top three seeds, right, in basketball for both conference, none of those top three seeds have sold their entire futures to acquire talent. The
Yeah.
Celtics to get Porzingis, Derek White, to get Drew Holiday, they traded away pieces, yes, but not every single first round pick for forever.
Yeah.
The Knicks didn't need to do it for OG Anunoby. The Bucks didn't even need to do it for Dame. They say they gave up picks and swaps, but they were also adding to their already established base.
Yeah.
For Phoenix, it
And,
just seemed like they had, Phoenix, it seemed like they had a solid base when they made it to the finals, right? Chris Paul, DeAndre Ayton, Mikal Bridges, Devin Booker, and they gave up too much of it. And for
yeah.
Durant, like we said, they needed more depth around it, and then they gave it all up for Bradley Beal. So,
Yeah, I
it,
just look at it. Like just in the West, OKC, where did they get all their great players from?
trading Paul George away and Russell Westbrook
And
away.
exactly, draft. Where did Denver get all of their great players from?
Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns. Oh, you said Denver. Sorry.
Exactly.
Jokic and Jamal
Yeah,
Murray, they drafted him.
drafted. Minnesota, Cat and Anthony, drafted. The Clippers, you can't really look at. Dallas, they have Luka. But I mean, the top three seeds were heavy drafted team. Their top players are drafted players. Phoenix doesn't
Mm-hmm.
have that. They don't have the availability to draft anyone. They don't have the finances to bring anyone in, and they don't have the trade chips to send out outside of Kevin Durant and Devin Booker. Like nobody's paying for Bol. Nobody's paying for Eric Gordon. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe Grayson Allen going out early. He was statistically the best 3-point shooter in the league this year, and they lost him in game one. Maybe that has something to do with it. There really was no outside shooting at all. It was rough. So maybe you run it back with Grayson Allen next year and hope that he can still shoot 48% or some shitty shot from three this year, something crazy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. This team is their ceiling, and everyone can see it. Their ceiling is an NBA championship. There's no doubt about that. If they can get the right pieces in there, Kevin Durant, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker should absolutely be able to win a championship. The floor is what we just saw, is a non-cohesive team that has no true point guard. It is very me-centric, and when shit hits the fan, it's just we're going to lay over and die. So I think a coaching change is definitely in order, but this team could finish anywhere from first to 10th next year, and I'm like, it is what it is.
Yeah, they should see if Mike Budenholzer wants to coach for them. That'd be a good move. Get
Yeah.
rid of Vogel for Budenholzer. There is one more series in the West we haven't touched on much, and that's the Clips and Mavs. I mean, we said this would probably be the most competitive series in the first round. It's been that way. Mavs won game two and three. Clippers came out crazy in game four, had a 30-point lead, choked it away. The Mavs did go up one, And so the Clips were able to hold on without Kawhi, who won't return this series. They've actually won both games. He hasn't played. They play tomorrow in LA for game five. It's tied 2-2. Obviously, the Clips have the home court advantage. Who do you see making out of this team? What do you make of the series?
This is actually, we said it was going to be a fun series, and it has been. Yesterday or Sunday's game was just what they were up 31, 32. What was it?
Yep. I think it was 31, yeah.
Yeah, 31 or 32 points, something like that. And then Kyrie Irving just gets in his bag, throws up 40 points total. Luka had a terrible game until the last quarter. He was 1 for 9 from three, but he still finished with almost 30. That's what I'm saying. This Dallas team is, you have Luka and Kyrie that can shoot you out of a slump so easy. And on the opposite side, you have the same thing with Paul George and James Harden. Like, these are two of the most fun teams to watch, even if they're down. It's, they have the firepower to come back. With no Kawhi, I mean, that definitely sucks. The series is 2-2. That game's not tonight, is it?
That game is
I think
tomorrow.
they play tomorrow.
The Bucks, for some reason, are playing at 9:30. They put all
Yeah,
the East games today,
yeah, I
except for
saw
the Heat
that.
Celtics. I don't know what's up
Yeah,
with the scheduling.
yeah. No, this is a really fun series. I mean, this is Luka's team. Kyrie somehow has not blown this team up, which is shocking to say that this team is still intact with no drama going on. And this very easily could go seven. No Kawhi. I think I picked Dallas to win anyway. Now with no Kawhi the rest of the series, I think I'm going to keep rolling with Dallas. Tomorrow on the road, they're 3.5 point favorites. So that just shows that Vegas really thinks that Dallas is the better team with no Kawhi. But yeah, this has definitely been the most fun series to watch so far. They need to run it back. Just make it go 10. Give us a 10-game series or
It depends what
11.
version of the Clippers show up. Is it James Harden, Russell Westbrook, and Paul George acting like playoff P and they're playoff performers,
Yeah,
or did they figure out how to play basketball again? Because that's what happened game two and three. Like those three just didn't show up, and Luka went crazy with Kyrie. But they played way more like a cohesive team in game four. Granted, they nearly lost, but they played much better in game four. So
yeah.
I still like I still like the Clippers. Excuse me. They are my finals pick, which is still alive, but uh, looking dicey now because all the teams in the West won, all the higher seeds won in the West. But
And like whoever gets out of this series,
plays
I
the
still
Thunder.
think, yeah, I think that's a fun series that the Thunder still win. But like, you're telling me you don't want to see Luca versus Shea, two MVP candidates, like that's fun. I
I
still
want to see
think
Kyrie
OKC,
versus Shea. I want to see Kyrie
yeah,
and Shea lock up against each other.
like if the Clippers just, they're just a boring team. They're not boring. They just give off, like, they don't have aura. There's no
They're
aura around the
older. They're
Clippers.
not about
They're
youth.
very exactly. They're very old, boring. They're good, but like, there's
They're
nothing that
like the
excites me
Spurs, but
there.
without the legacy.
Exactly. But like,
Yeah.
I'm trying to see Luca throw up 45, Shea throw up 40, and that's what I'm trying to see.
Yeah, you want to see Kobe and the Lakers, not and Showtime Lakers, not Tim Duncan in the post with Tony Parker,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
We'll see, of course, what happens over the week with the NBA. We'll have some games now. The Knicks have what is it, a 2 point lead? No, Sixers have a 2 point lead in the third. Cavs are up already seven against the Magic. Pacers Bucks tonight. We'll go over next week what happens in all the series still going on. We do have some baseball news that did drop. Like you said, some did drop earlier today, also in the last couple of hours. But we'll start with the news that we did know, and that's the biggest news from baseball right now is the uniforms. I mean, we haven't really touched on it much, but they've been awful. Nike has been the uniform supplier of baseball since 2019, but this season they decided to try out their new fun, sweat-resistant jersey that they tried at the All-Star game, and it's been shit. It's been awful. The letters are so small in their jerseys. Nobody likes it. It took finally the MLBPA and MLB today to say that they're going to resolve it next year. Apparently, they can't change it now. But mismatching grays in the pants from the jerseys, the font size will return to normal. Why? They even had a statement that said Nike tried to revolutionize something that didn't need to be revolutionized. So I think they're just placing all
Yeah.
the blame on Nike. What do you make of all this, and why is it taking until next year to already get this fixed?
Well, they already paid for them, so now they're just going to roll with it now and get as much. They're going to milk as much money out of, because once they change it, they're going to have to change all the ones in the team shops. So they're just going to milk it throughout the year. People are still going to buy the jerseys and all that, but eventually they're going to have to change all the ones in the team shops and the ones you order online, and everything's going to be different about them. Obviously, they're not the same as what you buy in the team shop. They're different, but designs and all that shit's going to have to be revamped. But it's just so stupid. They were bad. We knew they were bad before the season started too. Like even in spring training,
Hmm.
we saw how terrible these jerseys were, and MLB said they were going to be fine. Yeah, I honestly haven't really thought about it until they came out with it today, but I'm happy they're changing it. But speaking of a changing of jerseys, we did see a new City Connect jersey today or yesterday.
Yesterday.
Top three. This is a top three jersey in the league now for City Connects. The Rays City Connect uniforms were unveiled, and the logo is quite literally a skateboarding stingray. Like how can you not want that? That is one of the sickest things I've ever seen. Just a skateboarding devil ray.
I think them changing the name from Devil Rays to Rays, and they made it more about the rays of the sun, and their new logos
Yeah,
that they did versus Devil. I think that was a mistake. Like they wanted to get rid of the
yeah.
Devil Rays because they were like, oh, no one's gonna buy something for their kids that says Devil in it. Why not make it the Tampa Bay Stingrays? That'd be way easier and cooler. But that's another topic for another day. The City Connect jerseys are amazing, like you said. Skating Devil Ray or Stingray is amazing. They glow in the dark also. There are a lot of memes of like Randy Arozarena after hitting the grand slam at Tropicana, the lights go out, and it's just like a glow in the dark Buzz Lightyear essentially. So there's a couple of good memes about it. But I would say this is probably the best City Connect jersey we've seen. The Marlins one is good, don't get me wrong. I know there's better ones than just those two from Florida, but I think it's the best one.
I think it's top three for sure.
To
It's
pull
just
off black, purple, and green, that's like
yeah,
Green Goblin vibes, and they did it very well.
yeah. They pulled off three colors that on their own are good, but mixed together are terrible. They pulled it off great.
Yeah, so they did do well. And I mean, I don't know when the first time they wear it. I haven't looked into that, but it'll
I
be
don't know.
fun
We
to
haven't
see if they wear it.
the Tigers unveil theirs either this week or next week, so I'm hoping those are good. I've seen some leaks, quote unquote. They seem like
Hmm.
they're going to be pretty solid.
They wear them June 16th. Oh, okay.
Oh,
Beginning May 3rd and every Saturday after. And
okay,
then they wear them on the road June 16th against the Braves and August 7th against the Cardinals.
okay. I might actually
That
watch a Rays game just to see that jersey in game.
Yeah. Imagine, I mean,
Yeah,
do they play on a Saturday against the D-backs? That'd be a fun thing to watch to see if they do. I can tell you now
probably
in a minute.
not.
Because they play every team, because of the new
Yeah, I know.
scheduling.
They get the Tigers in 2 weeks and the Marlins in 3 weeks. So that I do
Arizona, they
know.
play on a Saturday, August 17th at home.
Yeah.
So I mean, listen, if you want to go to Florida, tickets are only $17 for the game.
I really have always wanted to see Tropicana Field. I hear it's like a top five stadium in the league,
It
so I
is
really do
awful.
have to.
It is awful. I've been to that stadium multiple times. It's
I
trash.
gotta make my way down there. Here it's top of the line.
You could go watch them play at Detroit in September for $5. The games against Detroit
No, I
on
think
the
I'm good on
road.
that one. I think I'll pass.
God. There was other baseball news which you alluded to, which broke today. If you want to break those, or break
Yeah,
that up.
the Mike Trout torn meniscus.
Yeah. Out for what, a
Damn.
couple months, I think?
Yeah, he's gonna have surgery. They said it wasn't gonna be season ending, but man, the Angels are just the epitome of depression right now. They lose Shohei. They're gonna lose Mike Trout, their star player. I mean, he has like what he had at one point 10 home runs, 13 RBIs. That's how bad that team is. They can't even get on base for him.
Yep.
So I do think he gets traded. I think this is the year Mike Trout gets traded. He might still be hurt when he does, but the Angels have to get something for him at this point. This poor guy. This is the Dame Lillard of the MLB. He's so loyal to his one team. They're never good. And I see him getting traded. I said he was going to get traded last year. Shohei was the one that ended up getting traded, which I was also right on. Just want to FYI that one. But
But it wasn't during the year. It wasn't during the year he got traded.
it wasn't, but I did say he was. He was going to leave the team.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this is the year Trout gets traded. They got to get something for him. I don't know what you're going to get. Maybe a top 100 prospect plus a top 10 from the farm. but you've got to just get something because oh man, I feel bad for him to be honest.
Him and Rendon have combined for $218 million since 2021. They've combined played in a combined 385 games out of a potential 972 games. Because Rendon also has a high grade partial tear in his left hamstring. He's probably going to miss most of the year. They said Trout's going to be out best case scenario 4 to 6 weeks. Best
Yeah.
case scenario.
Also, I said Shohei got traded. I know he didn't. I meant left the team. I was right
Left
on
the
that
team.
one. Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know why
yeah,
I said traded, but
yeah. Like you said, it's really unfortunate. The Angels are 11 and 18 going up against Philly tonight. Philly's obviously the heavy favorite. Like you said, it's like you said last year. They should cut ties while they have this talent before they lose them for less. And they're losing. They're starting to go down in quality. Trout is right. I mean, not necessarily Trout, but just the fact that it's hurt. Um, they should cut ties while they still can and get some value because right now their farm system isn't that great. Trout's hurt. Obviously, Rendon was a mistake. They lost Otani for nothing. They
yeah,
gotta.
like
I
right.
mean, they've already been bad. They haven't made the playoffs for 10 years.
Yeah.
You've wasted their primes. Like you just got to move on at some point.
Well, that's the thing is like, yeah, they got absolutely nothing for Shohei, who's the greatest baseball player of our generation. The Rendon contract was just an asinine. That was the dumbest thing ever. And now that Mike Trout's hurt, now his return stock is going to go down. You know, you probably if you would have traded him last year at the deadline or even before the season started, you're getting multiple top 100 prospects. Now you're lucky to get one of them. Now that he's hurt, he's obviously could still play when he's healthy. I had 10 home runs in the first 20, 30 games is incredible. But you know, that's the question we'll always have about Mike Trout is his health and you know, how many games are you going to get out of him if you trade him? But they gotta get something for him, even if it's a bottom 20, a 75 to 100 prospect. But you got to get something for him at this point because if he gets hurt again, like at what point is he just going to retire because of injuries? Like he still has time left, but this guy gets hurt every year.
Yeah, not much time.
Let him be someone else's problem at this point. He's not a problem, but let someone else deal with the injury history. And,
Yeah,
he might go hit 35 home runs for him, but he also is only going to play 80 games a year. Bring back players that can play more than 80 games a year at this. They got to move on.
yeah, solid choice. We did, of course, have the main event on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, which we did our predictions for, which is the NFL draft. Probably one of the greatest jingles ever created was the jingle when the draft pick gets like
Yeah.
selected on TV, the ding ding ding
Yeah.
ding. That we did have a lot of surprises. In our mock draft, we got 4 picks correct, which is pretty trash. We did get 16 right position wise, so we at least knew what half the league was going to do at that position, which is pretty okay considering we don't have any
Yeah. We'll
inside
take
knowledge
that.
at
We'll
all.
take that.
Um, we'll go through the first round specifically in a moment, but just in general, who do you think had the best draft and the worst draft? If you had to pick one team for each.
One team for each. I mean,
Yeah, the worst and best.
I think the best draft was Chicago. I mean, they got their quarterback, though I don't think Caleb Williams is going to be all that good. We've seen the pedigree of quarterbacks that are drafted in Chicago and how those turn out. But I do think they won the draft. They got their quarterback at 1. They got Rome Odunze at 9. They got their quarterback and wide receiver of the future. I think they definitely won. I think the team that lost, and I don't think this is controversial at all, was Atlanta, which made quite possibly the dumbest move I've ever seen. They signed Kirk Cousins in the offseason to what, 120 million or something?
100 mil guaranteed,
Yeah.
3-year deal. Yep.
Yeah. And then with the 8th overall pick, passed up corner, passed up defense. They needed defense. We thought they would take an edge or a corner. They took Michael Penix, which they could have just traded back if they wanted him. I don't get that. Like, you could have gotten Michael Penix at the end of the first round, beginning of the second round, and they took him at 8. That might be the worst draft pick since Deion Jordan.
Don't tell me about Deion Jordan. Don't remind me of that man. Have you seen that draft class, by the way? That
It's
entire
awful.
draft class,
It's terrible.
the first 15 picks, none of them made a Pro Bowl. None of
Was
them.
it Creed? Like Creed Humphrey was first, right? Was
Eric
that three
Fisher, I
months?
think.
Eric, yeah, I knew it was an
Eric
offensive guy.
Fisher was
Yeah,
first to the
yeah,
Chiefs. DeAndre Hopkins in that draft
unbelievable.
class. They had good players, but just not in the first round.
Oh my
It was
God,
terrible.
terrible. But yeah, that was hearing Mike because they were talking about it on the desk. I don't remember who it was, but they were saying, "Oh, Michael Penix is rumored to go here." And I was like, "There's no way they do it." And
And they did.
Atlanta had quite possibly the worst pick. And the crazy thing is, 4 picks later, the Broncos took Bo Nix,
And you
which
were right, and it's
and I
so
was
sad
right.
that you were right.
I know. I knew I was in their head. I knew exactly what they were going to do. Bo Nix went 12th to Denver, which I think is just as bad. I mean, at least you can say, well, they reached on the quarterback they wanted. They don't have a quarterback in place like Atlanta does. But again, you could have traded back 10 spots and gotten Bo Nix easy. Unless there, for some reason, he was shooting up everyone's boards day of draft, you could have traded back into to 20th, 25th, and gotten them, and at least gotten some capital back as well. But
Yeah.
yeah, 5 quarterbacks in the top 12 picks is that's insane. No, it was more 6 quarterbacks, I think. Yeah, 6 quarterbacks
Six
in
out
the
of
top
12.
12.
6 out of 12.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, I will agree with you with the worst being the Falcons. I mean, they should have if they wanted to do this. I mean, they were sold on Michael Penix, so they think he's going to be the future. So for them to do that and evaluate that, you're rightfully able to do. And they said they got people calling to trade up to them to take Michael Penix, which is why they didn't trade back. But it's still not the right timing. Because if you have this evaluation of Michael Penix, why do you sign Kirk Cousins? It would make
Exactly.
no difference because you could sign or draft Michael Penix, use that money to improve your roster, and nobody would care. Everyone would be like, good move. But the fact that you did both shows that you're either doing a disservice to Michael Penix for having him play out most of his rookie contract without knowing if he's your answer, or you're doing a disservice to Kirk Cousins for always having a shoulder now to look over to make sure Michael Penix isn't taking your reps. So, wrong move by the Falcons. In terms of the best draft, I disagree with Chicago. I think they had a good draft. I think they honestly could have done better than Romeo Dunze. Wide receiver wasn't a huge need for them with Keenan Allen and DJ Moore. I liked the pick because it's a younger guy, a friend of Caleb Williams. I get that, but you could have even gone. I mean, they also have Gerald Everett at tight end, along with who's their main tight end who played last year for the
Cole
Bears?
Kmet.
Cole Kmet, right? I would have rather them taken an O lineman or
Yeah.
someone like that. Almost all the good old linemen were available when they picked. Only J.C. Latham and Joe Alt were taken at that point, or any defensive player they could have drafted. There were no defense taken until 15.
Ooh, I
And
think I know where you're going with best draft, actually.
I think the best draft, I mean,
Thank
you
you.
might think,
Yep.
it's not
Thank you.
Detroit. It's not
Ah,
Detroit. It's close because Detroit did have a good draft. I'm going with Philly. I'm going with Philly. Philly being able to take Quinion Mitchell, who fell to them, right? We
he
thought he
fell
was going to go
far.
8 to Atlanta. He went to 22 to Philly. And then they trade up in the second round to get Cooper DeJean, who we thought was going to go 17. So the fact that they get two starting, essentially defensive backs at a position that, like the Lions, was really bad for them this year, I think the Eagles did well. And they accrued, I think, 4 extra picks in next year's draft by wheeling and dealing Howie Roseman on the third day. So I got to go Philly. I think they added talent that can add to them now, and they have more pieces for next season as well. They added a third from the Dolphins, so I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with the Eagles. Now, looking at the first round, we I have, if you can read my handwriting, all the picks and all the actual picks that were made. Besides Michael Penix, what pick in the first round made you the happiest that it happened? And which pick were you just absolutely discouraged by and questioning why they made it?
JJ McCarthy should have been the number 2 pick. I'm gonna die on this hill. So JJ McCarthy, not Jaden Daniels is gonna be fine. But whatever. Really wanted JJ to go to Washington at 2. I think the Marvin Harrison pick at 4 was really good. That offense is gonna be cooking next year if Kyler comes back healthy. Um, let's see what else was there. JJ going to Minnesota, I think is still fun. That's gonna be a JJ McCarthy to Justin Jefferson, JJ to JJ. JJ squared. What's going to be the
Yeah.
nickname for him? I don't know, but um, the one pick that I was like, what the fuck? Why did the Raiders take Brock Bowers? They took
Yeah.
Michael Meyer last year as a tight end. And then this year, I mean, I get it, he was best available, but you double up on tight ends now, it doesn't make sense to me.
They could have paired Christian Wilkins with Max Crosby with Laiatu Latu, the best rusher in the draft, and he was the first rusher taken at 15. That would have been an amazing defensive front. And now you add
Yeah.
another tight end at a position not of need that you already have Devontae Adams at wide receiver. You've got, I agree with you. That pick was weird. For me, my
Also,
favorite, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say the Bills trading with the Chiefs was also stupid.
Yeah, Xavier. I mean, we thought the Chiefs were going to get Keon Coleman. The Bills ended up getting Keon Coleman, but the Chiefs get Xavier Worthy, the fastest player in the draft. He could be another John Ross from the Bengals, right? Who just had a really fast 40 time and doesn't do anything in the NFL. Or he could be the Tyreek Hill replacement, which is kind of scary. And for the Bills to send him that was weird. I will definitely call you out for thinking Blake Corn would be a first round pick when he got picked in the third or in the fourth, excuse me.
Hey man,
Um,
hey,
so that was whack.
that one was definitely biased. I'm not gonna lie.
I think my favorite pick of all these teams, fit wise, which I'm glad they made, was the Giants at 6, going with Malik Neighbors.
Yeah,
I
they finally
think
got help.
I think he without Marvin Harrison, the clear wide receiver one in this draft, right? And there was even debates about him and Marvin Harrison going back to back. They needed a wide receiver, man. They needed a number one wide receiver talent. They got it now. Daniel Jones, is he's your answer? Who knows? But now you at least have 1 year of him having an elite weapon. If he's not your answer, then you have a solid piece for whatever quarterback you go with next season. Yes, they could have gone with any of the quarterbacks that were Michael Penix or JJ McCarthy or Bo Nix, but it makes more sense for them to go with Daniel Jones, Malik
Yeah,
Neighbors, and see what happens. So I think the Chargers were okay picking Joe Alt, who was going to be probably a Pro Bowl offensive tackle. But I think the Giants getting Malik Neighbors was better than Drake May or any of the quarterbacks they're rumored about getting. So I'm happy with that pick that it happened.
yeah. So you have Malik Neighbors now on that team. You're gonna pass up on. I think this was definitely a better quarterback class than next year. But if Daniel Jones doesn't work out, you can still take a shot at Quinn Ewers, Shador Sanders, Carson Beck. I'm definitely missing probably some other guys, Connor Wegman, but you can take a shot at one of them in the first round next year. But you definitely have your wide receiver in the future with Neighbors. I thought they would take the quarterback. I thought this quarterback class I think was just too good to pass up on, but you know they finally at least are going to put weapons and then a quarterback instead of a quarterback and then put no weapons. So yeah, they
Yeah.
definitely that was a solid pick.
Look what happened with the Panthers last year. They got rid of all their talent, and now Bryce Young was
Yeah,
awful last
yeah,
year. So I think doing that is better. You got to have talent around your quarterback. I mean, even the Dolphins, Devontae Parker was their number one wide receiver along with tight end Mike Gesicki. So you go out immediately and you get talent. Waddle, Tyreek Hill for the Dolphins. You see for the Bears, they're doing that. They had so much time with Justin Fields to do it. They didn't. Now they have Keenan Allen. They have Roma Dunze. They have DJ Moore. So it's good to see these teams at least learning. I don't know what the Patriots are doing because they're throwing in Drake May with who? A wide receiver?
I don't know. I can
But
actually name a single wide receiver.
that's what I'm saying. They need some talent at wide receiver too. We'll see what happens there. I mean, that was pretty good for the draft. I'm always love the NFL draft. Now it just means off-season and fantasy football drafts,
Yeah.
mock drafts coming up,
Also,
of course.
shout out Detroit. They killed it. It was a single event record, single day record on day one, single event record for a number of people there. And it only stopped because they were literally turning people away at the gate. Shout out the city. They did great. I hope they host it in Detroit every year moving forward because that was a huge success.
It was, and literally every commentator of the draft or every presenter of picks was saying how what a wonderful atmosphere it was, and it looked like a fun time. It just looked
Yeah.
like a great thing to go to, let alone for the picks, just to celebrate football. Next year's is going to be crazy, but it's going to be interesting. It's in Green Bay. It's in
Green Bay.
Lambeau Field. but they said there are two hotels in Green Bay that are already completely sold out, and we're a year away. I don't know what the heck is going on with this, but we're a year away, and the hotels are already sold out in Green Bay. I don't know if people are going to get there. That's my only
Wow.
issue.
That place is gonna be drunk as shit.
Oh yeah, like there are so many stadiums next to Lamb or houses next to Lambeau. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next year with the draft. But like you said, shout out Detroit. They did a great job. I
Yeah.
think that's it from us, unless there's
I
anything else you want to get to.
got one thing for you before we go. There
Yep.
is currently a bet out there. Some guy bet $100 on the Rangers to win the World Series, Chiefs to win the Super Bowl, and OKC to win the finals. He's 2 for 3. Right now, the cash out is 80K. Are you taking the 80K or are you letting it ride?
Who are the other teams that have to win?
OKC just has to win the finals. That's it. And he wins. I think the payout is 1.1 million. They're offering him
Versus
80K to cash out.
80K.
You could always let it ride
Man,
to the second round too, because you can cash out
yeah.
after the second round if they win.
Yeah, that's tough. I mean, but I would let it ride. I would let it
You're
ride.
letting it ride.
I'm letting it ride, dude. 80K versus $1 million is a big difference in money.
Okay, I think we both know OKC is not winning this year. They have to get past Denver and then most likely Boston.
But you
I
could
think
wait
they.
till the second round and then cash
That's
out
what
for
I'm
more
saying.
money.
Yeah, let them beat Dallas or the Clippers. That cash out's probably going to end up going up to like 200K after that. I
Yeah.
think I'm letting it ride one more round. If they win, then sure. If they lose, I might hedge right here. I might just bet.
Yeah.
I might throw like I don't know 4 or 5 grand on whoever's going to win this series, the Clippers Mavs series. Throw 5 grand on them. Double up, make it a little
Yeah.
5K.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, yeah, because the amount that you would get, that's tough. I think I'd
Uh,
still let it ride. I'm sorry.
you're letting it ride.
I would think let it ride. Let it ride to
All
the
right.
Eastern Western Conference Finals and then see what the payout is. Because then it'll be probably close to 400K, or maybe like
Yeah.
200K.
Yeah.
And then if it's more than if it's six figures or more, then I cash out.
Yeah. I mean, you could let it ride until after game one of the next round, and it's probably gonna be 100K after that. But
Yeah,
I
that's
think
what I mean.
I'm taking the 80K. That's
Yeah,
like a
but
nice
then
vacation for me.
imagine if the Thunder win, though. You could have been a
I know.
millionaire.
I know. I mean, I
You
say
could
it
take
now because I have
five
absolutely nothing.
vacations.
Yeah, I have nothing on the line right now, so I say I'd cash out. But in the moment, yeah, I don't know.
Nah, at that point, you would attend a Thunder game. You would go to OKC
Oh
and
yeah. Oh,
attend.
I'd be at all of them. I mean, I think DraftKings is like setting the guy up with like going to all the games too. So
They could record us suffering for content, make it back
yeah,
easily.
I actually think that's exactly what they're doing.
Yeah. It's crazy in the current MLB news. The Marlins are down 5-0 going into the bottom of the ninth. It is 5-5. They have bases loaded with two outs on a 3-2 pitch. Do you think they win the game here? Did it goes to extras?
Who are they playing?
The Rockies, who are 7-21.
Oh my
Honest,
God, what a series!
this ticket tonight to get in was $2. $2 get in price for
Oh,
this game.
that
Yesterday was
is
three.
disgusting. I just pulled it up on my Gamecast to see what happened. We're gonna live react to this right here. 3 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, bottom of the ninth.
Yep.
Christian Bethencourt. Oh, I see
Oh,
it.
and it's
God,
caught.
walk off.
Nope,
Wait.
it's caught at the wall, flied out to left.
Oh, the Gamecast I'm on showed it like 25 feet over the fence.
Yeah, but it said flight out to left. Yep, yep. That's the
Oh, that
Marlins for you. They'll
sucks.
lose in extras now after talking
Yep,
back from
yep,
5-0.
that's it. They're about to give a lead. They're giving up a leadoff home run to Ezekiel Tovar now.
Yep, I believe it. But I think that's it for this week
Also,
in sports. Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
oh, never mind, never mind. I was looking at something else.
All right. Well, you've got some activities to get to. I've got some showering to do after the gym, but we will get back to you next week with the NBA series resolvement of most of the first round. We'll won't have any more football to talk about, sadly. But we'll get into some hockey. Florida won their series 4-1 against Tampa. Maybe encroach to the soccer world. Probably not going to happen, but that's okay.
Yeah,
Anything else?
when do Euros start?
Euros start in late June, I believe, in the summer.
It's not something about that coming up.
Yeah, I think it's June because the Europe Champions League, June 14 is the first game, Germany, Scotland. Yeah, we can at least preview that.
We will not be covering that.
No, we can cover it. How about at least the CONMEBOL because that's America's in it, and so is Argentina and
Oh
Brazil.
yeah, as long as the U.S. is in it, I'll cover it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is. They are. They are.
All right, that works.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what it's even called. CONCACAF Champions Cup? I don't know. Who knows? But anyways, we'll get back to you next week. Check us out on Spotify and YouTube, episode 44. This is what this one will be. Next week will be 45. Anything you want to add before we go?
Fire Frank Vogel.
Anthony Edwards is him. He is him. We'll catch you next week. See ya.